What's up, guys? I'm the Nearsighted Gamer, and I know 2015 may be over and done and has been for a little bit, but there's no denying that it was a pretty good year for games. A lot of really good games came out, and a lot of not so good or, disappointing games came out. Games that were supposed to come out and just be super awesome, and they just really didn't deliver. So with that being said, I decided to do a list or just talk about some of my favorite games from 2015 and some of my more disappointing games of 2015. Not necessarily bad, but they were disappointing to me. I expected more of them. I know a lot of people have already done their top 10 lists or whatever list for the year before 2015 ended, or some people even waited till after. But I decided to do mine now. I'm just not getting around to it. So better late than never, right? And with that said, let's get right to it. First of all, I have to give a shout out to a buddy of mine, possibly family member, I'm not gonna let that slip out or not, AirEnderman, for getting me this shirt. Yeah, it's by far my favorite shirt ever. So shout out to AirEnderman. Definitely go check out his channel. He does a lot of really cool videos, ocarinas, Minecraft Let's Plays. He likes Metroid. He's a really good designer. Just go check him out. Give him a subscribe, give him a like. Go watch some of his videos. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. All right, the first game we're going to talk about is The Witcher 3. Yeah, we're going to start off strong. Now, I've known of The Witcher. Who hasn't known about The Witcher? Witcher 1 and Witcher 2, those games were heralded as being pretty good open world games. 2 being better than 1. They improved upon them and made them even better. And then 3 came out, and everybody expected so much from CD Projekt Red, and they didn't disappoint. They made a vast open world, just huge. There's so much to do. There's quests upon quests. There's side quests that lead into more side quests. Your main quests lead into side quests. There's branching paths upon these storylines. There's plenty of loot, plenty to do. You'll never be bored. It boasts being 200 hours worth of gameplay, and I played it, but I got nowhere near that. There were so many games coming out that I didn't have time for it. I rented it and I played it and I loved it, but with so much going on and as much time as it took to invest into that game, I really wasn't able to complete it. I don't even know if I would be able to complete it if I owned the game. It's just that big. The characters are great. They're fleshed out. I think the voice acting is good. The way the game looks is superb. I can't even describe how good it looks. You'll catch yourself just stopping to admire a sunset, which is amazing. You'll just look around and see things. You're like, oh man, just check how good that looks. The game looks great. It sounds great. It plays great. Well, there's a couple problems, with maybe things with your horse and all that. But these are extremely minor compared to whatever all the other things that the game does good. It even has its own little game within a game, Gwent, which is a card game that could be a standalone game on its own if they intended it to be. I truly believe that. I didn't get to complete the game, but it definitely gets praise from me. So much so that I even bought it for a friend of mine who was complaining about, not getting a HD remastered version of Skyrim, which makes sense. But that's pretty much something to tide him over until Bethesda decides to get around to it. Yeah, it definitely gets an A in my book. Definitely a good game. It was a lot of people's game of the year for 2015, and it deserved it, no doubt. The next game I'm going to talk about is Rocket League. Okay, now Rocket League pretty much took I wouldn't say the world, but took gaming by storm. It started out being a PlayStation Plus game, free game for I think the month of July, maybe I think it was, and it was on PS4 and PC. It was free on PlayStation Plus for PS4, and you can play it on PC. And there was crossplay, so you'd be able to play online with people on PC. And I don't know what it was. It's one of those games that's so simple that it just works on all cylinders. It's just, you take cars and you add soccer and you have greatness. Cars and soccer. Just the way to picture to somebody is like, hey, you ever thought about what it would be like to play soccer with cars? Like, no. Okay, well, play this. That's exactly what it'd be like. And it's great. Almost everybody that I can think of that I've showed it to who had a chance to play it loved it. Great game. It's cool. I don't play it consistently. I played it like a lot for a little while there, but I definitely go back to it every now and then and just like, want to just kill some time, do some craziness, just have some like mindless fun. I'm not as good as like a lot of people out there who invest plenty of hours of time into it and can do like super cool trick shots. It's amazing what the shots that people can do, but that's not me. But I'm okay. I'll go back now every now and then and jump in and play some matches and do that, and just remember, like, try to recapture like how I felt when I first played it. I still like playing it now. There's nothing about it. I'm happy for the developer. I hear it's coming to Xbox Live now, so I'm glad that they'll get a chance to play it, and they definitely deserve all the praise they get for it. It's a really good game. Next is a Vita game called Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Once again, like some of these games are, you may be wondering like, why isn't he talking about this or why isn't he talking about that? But all these games are going to be games that I've played. So there are a lot of really good games that I didn't play this year, like Bloodborne, and I think Evolve was this year. Oh, that's so sad that it was this year. Nobody remembers Evolve. Dying Light was this year. I know those games were good, not Evolve, but those other games were good. There's plenty of other good games, but I didn't get around to a lot of them. So the games that I'm going to talk about are going to be games that I played. Like I said, Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Loved Persona 4, played Persona 3, played Persona 4 Golden actually on Vita. And when I heard this game was coming out, I was like, it's not really Persona, which kind of wasn't intriguing to me or, pulling me in. But I was like, why not? I did the same thing with the Ratchet and Clank game that was on PSP. I was like, it's Ratchet and Clank, but it's just not going to be the same as a console. And I got it, and I was like, I can't believe I almost passed on this. But yeah, I went ahead and got it. I played it, and they did really good. The best thing that they did, which is the main focus, is the music. You have remixes of songs from Persona 4 that you love, and you play as the different characters, the investigation team. And there's a story, and it's very Persona-esque. I won't get into it. I'll let you explore that for yourself. But the focus of the game and what needs to be good is good. The gameplay is good. The music is good. You really feel like you really get into the music. That's what they did best and what they needed to do best. The story is okay, but you don't think too much into it. If you're a Persona fan, then you already know what kind of story you're more likely going to deal with. So you know what to expect. If you're not, then you want to do a little research, because you'll be wondering like, really? What's going on? Yeah, but I liked it a bunch. I would definitely buy it. I just rented it, but I did buy it. I'm not gonna get into that, but yeah, I did buy it. I liked it a lot, and just hearing the music again redone, I would love to get that soundtrack. Too bad I didn't get the special limited edition, I think it was, that had a soundtrack with it. I would love to have that. I'm definitely going to see about getting the soundtrack for it, because all the songs are great, especially like the ones that were just like small like, you know, menu themes and stuff like that were cool. They took and they expanded and made them better and stretched them out enough to, you know, be a full song. And I loved it. It's definitely one of my favorite games of 2015. Another game that is pretty much one of my favorite games of 2015 is Shovel Knight. Now, I know you're gonna say Shovel Knight in 2015, it's been out longer than that. It came out for, I think, 3DS and everything else before 2015, close to the end, but it didn't hit PS4, which is where I played it, and I think Wii U, until 2015. And it's a pure throwback to the way games used to be whenever I was growing up in my childhood. You know, the 8-bit era, Nintendo games, you know, DuckTales, Zelda, all those types. It takes all those, smashes them together, and makes them really good. And the music is exactly how it needs to be. It's that chiptune-esque type game that you like, that you can just sit there and not move, just listen to the music on its own. Gameplay is exactly how it needs to be. You know, you're jumping, you're attacking, and all that. Small RPG aspects along the lines of Zelda, like I was saying. Change your armor, change your weapons, you know, upgrade, get different types of relics, and different types of weapons, stronger weapons that do different types of attacks. And you go through, and the map is, you know, along the lines of, you know, Super Mario 3. That's another game that this takes ideas from. But you don't consider it like stealing ideas. It just borrows them and piles them together with all the rest of them and makes it really good. Like, a lot of people love this game, and I'm definitely one of them. I have it on Vita, I have it on Wii U, and I have it on PS4. So I can play it pretty much anywhere. And I definitely plan on getting the Shovel Knight Amiibo, which is coming out soon, which will allow for 2-player at the same time, which is great because my son loves the game, and to be able to play with him would be like something totally great. He would love it, and I would love it, and it would be a great way for us to spend time together. So I know it came out in 2014, but I didn't play it or get used to it, get access to it until 2015. I almost did a review of it, but I didn't finish it. Sorry. Okay, spoiler alert, I would have loved it. Okay, I would have definitely recommended for you to play it, especially if you're a fan of throwback games from like the early Nintendo era, maybe some Super Nintendo era, stuff like that. Then definitely play Shovel Knight. Go look them up. Go look it up. Another game that came out in 2015 was Saints Row 4 Reelected. Now, if you follow my channel, you know that I did a review of this game. So there's not a lot I'm going to say about it, because if you, I did it pretty much explaining everything in my review. Go check that out, please. The first Saints Row game, craziness, over the top action, just GTA with fun, and excuse me, I loved it. I played it straight through until I beat it, and then kept revisiting it several times just to go back and get lost, do craziness, and like, you know, break the rules every now and then. I'm not going to go too much into it. You can see exactly how I thought about it in my review. This game came out a couple of weeks into 2015, so it's very, very early, and it may have been forgotten. That was another one of the games that I really love. Go check that out. Next is Destiny: The Taken King. Now this one's gonna take a little bit. Okay, Destiny. You're on one side or the other with Destiny. You're either completely in love with it, or you could care less. I would say now I'm on the couldn't care less bandwagon, but when Destiny first arrived, I was all for it. Me and my nephews, we played all the time. And there was a point where I was playing every day, getting my bounties, going through, doing all that, in what we're calling the first year of Destiny, whenever we were having hard times. Before Destiny got to be the way it is, and everything got changed for the better. We got updates, things that should have been there in the first place. Not gonna make this a Destiny video. That's a video for a whole nother time. But after the first year, they came out with Destiny Taken King, which is pretty much a revamp of the entire game. I mean, that became the name of the game itself once you downloaded the patch and the update and everything and bought it. But the thing is, if you didn't buy it, you were just completely stuck. You had access to nothing. There wasn't even a point in you playing the game, which I thought was terrible on their part. It's pretty much them forcing you to buy the game if you want to have any kind of interaction with it. That was messed up. But when the Taken King did come out, it did so much for the game that you can almost forgive it. Like, it came out and they changed plenty of things. They changed your vault. They changed the way the story was. The story was actually good. There was a story. You got to know the certain characters. You felt like you were doing something, and this shouldn't be a thing, but you could skip cutscenes. Yeah. So how many times, like, you've seen yourself going to the moon, going to the moon, going to the moon? Yeah, that gets old. Yeah, so you were able to skip cutscenes. They expanded your vault, different weapons, new bosses, new raid, new area to explore, lots of other things, missions. You could track your missions, expanded bounty slots and access. It did a lot. It's pretty much the way the game should have been when it came out, which is messed up on their part because they knew what they were doing. But it came out and it changed the game so much that it made it almost a completely different game. People who would play it for the first time and play the Taken King would be like, oh man, I don't see why this game was people are so hard on this game. But yeah, it's because they're seeing it like that. If you came from where we came from up until then, you would know how much we needed that. 2 expansions, and we still weren't there. It wasn't until this next expansion that we got the game that it should be. So because of how much the Taken King did for Destiny, that's why it's on my list as like one of my favorite games. I may not play it as much now, but it did a lot, so I have to give it credit for what it did. It made Destiny playable, enjoyable, and it made it the game that it should be. The last game I'm going to talk about as one of my favorites of 2015 is Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition. Okay, I'm a huge Darksiders fan. I'm a huge Darksiders 2 fan, let me say that. Because I didn't play Darksiders 1. It didn't really grab me like 2 did. When I saw all the media and the trailers and the gameplay and how it was for 2, I really wanted to get in there and try all that out. And I loved it. I didn't play 1, but I watched a walkthrough for it and saw how it was. Excuse me. To catch myself up for 2. I mean, there was a little bit of, you really did need to know what was going on in 1 in order to play 2. And I was cool with that. So I caught myself up on 1 and played 2. And it's one of my favorite later PS3 games. So much so that whenever I got my PS4 and I was in the process of getting rid of my PlayStation 3 games, I kept Darksiders 3 around just in case, I decided to jump back. I was willing to go back and hop on my PS3 just to play that game again. I loved it so much. It wasn't perfect by any means. It had glitches, and people always talk about those in the review. It had glitches, but the gameplay was great. I loved the way you could upgrade your weapons, different type of weapons, the different attributes that weapons had, and how everything was cosmetic. Like if you got a different chest plate, you saw it. I like games like that. Different type of weapons, they look different. You get your maces, your axes, your I don't know what those are called, your arm blades and stuff like that. Any weapon you got, you saw it. It was all cosmetic. And Death himself looked pretty cool. And so when I heard about the Definitive Edition, I was like, yes, finally, yes, it came to it. So I waited and waited, and the original date that it was supposed to come out, it got delayed. I was like, no, please don't be a bad sign. But it did eventually end up coming out, and I got it. I completely bought that. And it was just like jumping in a time machine. With the exception of the game was supposed to be, it says it's 60 frames per second, but I don't see 60 frames. At the least 30, maybe 40, but not 60 frames. But I'm cool with that because whatever, I'm able to play it on my PS4 without having to worry about bringing out my PS3. I haven't completed it yet, but everything is there. Jumping back into it, the world, the characters, the weapons, the items, the music. The music is superb in my opinion. All the music you hear in the background is adequate. It fits where you are. It fits the scenery. Where you are, you feel like it. The set pieces and all that, the epicness of how everything is. You being here and like having to go around and solve all these puzzles, do all this jumping around. Like the music fits so perfectly. It's definitely one of my favorite games, and I can't recommend it more. The definitive edition comes with all of the DLC from the PS3 version. So like most of them do, and it's one of my favorite games. I'm just going to say that again. I definitely recommend you play it. Just give it a shot. If you don't like it, you don't. It's not for everybody, but it's not perfect, but you'll definitely get some fun out of it. I promise you will. Okay, this one, all right, I'll put this in the middle. This game isn't necessarily one of my favorites, and it's not one of my most disappointing, which we'll get into after this. It's Just Cause 3. The game looks good, and I could see how the gameplay would be fun, but I just never got into it. I wasn't really intrigued by the story. That wasn't dragging me. I almost had to force myself to play at times. So I don't consider it one of my favorites, and I can't say disappointed because this is the first one in the series that I played. And I just put it somewhere in the middle. Like, I have to acknowledge it because I played it, and it's really good to some people. A lot of people I know like it, and I see why they do, because you can pretty much just goof off. It's like another version of GTA, except with explosions. Like Michael Bay had a hand in this somehow. But I wouldn't say it's bad. It just never jumped out at me as a game that I want to play. So I'm just gonna put it in, I guess, kind of like not really an honorable mention. I guess an honorable mention, but not for favorite or for disappointing. Just a mention in general. Okay? Alright. Now to my disappointing games. There's not as many of these as there were of the favorites. The first disappointing game would be Batman Arkham Knight. Overall it was good. The story was Batman. They didn't really, the story was not Arkham City at all. No way it was on Arkham City's level. Arkham City's story was great. I could go back and play Arkham City now. I wish they had released that on PS4. I'd love it. But the story was what it was. Everybody saw the reveal of the Arkham Knight coming from a mile away. I did like the fact that Scarecrow was the main villain for the most part, because he is my favorite Batman villain of all time. I love how he uses fear and all that. My favorite villain. So I like that part. And there's a story aspect that I'm not going to give away no matter how long it's been. I definitely want you to reveal that for yourself, that they used, which was great. The absolute best part of the story is this aspect that they use. They put this in there and you're like, what the crap? And then you're like, no way. And then like from then on, you're seeing this, and it interweaves itself in the story and makes it really, really entertaining. I'm not gonna spoil it, but yeah. If you hadn't played it by now, go play it. If you have, then you know what I'm talking about, and I'm sure you agree. But I'll move on to the next aspect, the gameplay, which, if you talk about the gameplay, you have to talk about the Batmobile or the Bat Tank. You were able to turn your Batmobile into a tank at any point. first off, you can use the Batmobile in this game. You were able to turn your Batmobile into a tank at any point, and you were able to start launching cannon fire and gunfire and EMPs and stuff like that. But some people feel that this was overused in the game, and to that degree, I kind of agree. But the points, one of my favorite things in the game was the sections where you had to destroy all of the tanks, and the side mission where you had to destroy bombs and stay in the area. That was one of my favorite parts, one of my favorite side missions of all. I think probably my favorite side mission out of all of them. As far as that goes, I'm cool. They did try to, force you to use the Batmobile at every turn or as often as they could, which I understand because, it's new. So they want to try to get it into the game. They don't want to just be like, here's the Batmobile. Okay, you can drive it, and that's about it. They wanted to make it where the Batmobile was of use. They could have had optional sections where, you could use the Batmobile, or that would have been an optional way. I mean, it's possible for them to do that. But they would use the Batmobile for this. I can hang on the side of a building with the Batmobile. I can pull this down. I can remotely control the Batmobile to go over here while I'm here. And at first that was cool, but it continuously seemed to be thrown in, which was a little bit annoying, but it wasn't as annoying to me as other people. I'll admit that it was there, but it didn't get to me as bad as it did to a lot of people. There was an absence of bosses, good bosses for this game. And that's another part. This goes back to the Batmobile as well. Whenever you would fight bosses, they would center around the Batmobile. You would have to race around and fight people and, disable their vehicle that they were in, chase them around this area, stuff like that. Excuse me. And that was just not how Batman does. He would use it as a tool, but for the most part, if he didn't have to, he would get in there. You wanted to have creative fights like Mr. Freeze from Arkham City, or what was the other fight? Killer Croc fight from Arkham City, stuff like that. Or, the Scarecrow fight from one, or other ones. I'm not familiar with Arkham Asylum, but just City. But there weren't really any bosses. There was the one boss against. You fought the Arkham Knight, of course, but as far as others like that, they weren't really like you would expect. It was still a Batman game, and Batman was still being Batman. Beating up people, solving people, using non-lethal force while shooting people with the Batmobile. Yeah, right. They were dead. But it definitely didn't live up to the expectations for me and for a lot of people. Another problem was the fact that in order to get the true ending for the game, you had to not only complete the game, but you had to get all of the Riddler trophies as well to get the true, actual, physical ending. That's not cool. That wasn't right. I didn't do it. Honestly, I'm gonna admit it. I didn't do it. I just went ahead and looked it up on YouTube. I would feel more accomplished, but I didn't. The Riddler trophies were not for me. That's just ridiculous to have you do that. You would get like a basic ending, but to get the extended ending and see what really happened, you had to complete all of the Riddler trophies, which just wasn't right. I don't agree with that at all. It's fun, but it just didn't live up. So that's why it's on my list of disappointing games. My next disappointing game of 2015 was Mario Party 10. If I could just talk to Nintendo, if I could just give them a couple of ideas, this is Mario Party 10, right? 10th anniversary. Me and people have been talking about the fact that why haven't they done, or with this one, why not do like a Mario Party All-Stars, with a collection of, 10 games, 10 mini games from all the past Mario games, put them in a collection, give them the old school Mario gameplay style, solo, not grouped together in a car going around taking turns. What the crap is that? Like you're working together. This is Mario Party. You're against each other. Everybody's spreading around on the game board and stuff like that. That's the Mario Party we love. Attacking your friends, losing friends, ruining friendships, stuff like that. Getting stars, stealing coins, stealing stars. That's Mario Party. That's what got me into it. That's what hooked me. Now, I just play hoping that they'll somehow decide to come back. They can't possibly have the same people working on this that they did before. Get them back. Listen to the fan. Listen to feedback. I was so hoping that this would be Mario Party All-Stars. But no, you just gather together, moving around the board, alternating your turns. Everybody's right there. They added Bowser mode where you can play as Bowser against a group, or you can play as the group or one of the people against Bowser, and you're pretty much racing him to the end. It's a very good try, but I was so disappointed in this, so much that I didn't even want to play it. I got it, and after, you can play like 1 or 2 games and deal with it, but it doesn't have the staying power. You don't want to just jump into it and like, you know what, 50 turns, let's go, come on. You don't want to do that. You want to like, what's the least amount of turns I can do? 10? All right, just give me 10 turns so I can be done. I can't believe how it's gone, how it's fallen so far. Mario Party was a thing that was just yours, Nintendo. That was yours. I so wish Mario Party All-Stars or some kind of collection of mini games with an old school flair and gameplay type would be released. I so wish they would do that. Last but not least, quite possibly the most disappointing game of 2015. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. I am not the only one who was completely captivated by Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and more so by Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. 2 being the one that I really go back to and see as starting the genre for me. That's which one it was for a lot of people. Tony Hawk 2 it wasn't great, but it was great in the aspect of like what it did for the genre. There wasn't a skateboarding genre at all. So Tony Hawk, he had it. He had that whole gaming genre to himself, and it was so much fun. You loved it. You loved the goofy tricks, the goofy characters, and all that. The gameplay was good. I mean, it may have a couple of glitches here and there, but it was nowhere near as broken as 5. They did kind of get away from things, you know, when they made 3 and 4, and then Thug and Thaw 2, and then Ride, and oh my gosh, Ride 2, and Shred, and oh, yeah. But early on, like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, I believe, you know, stuff like that. Not whenever you started getting off your board and running and stuff like that. That's ridiculous. Not skateboarding, that's just running with a skateboard. Talking to you, Skate 3. But this, everybody was so excited about this. We're getting Tony Hawk back. Come on, like there's no way this one can be as bad as like Ride and Shred. And it came out, and glitches upon glitches upon glitches. The gameplay just was not up to par. And this wasn't so much about people's expectation and it not living up to the expectation. This was about the fundamentals of the game. You know, the game itself being broken and unplayable. It didn't grab anybody like the other one did. The music was there. I mean, it was all right. I got it. I played it for a couple of days because I wanted to try to get my son back into Tony Hawk and show him, like, you know, how it used to be. So I figured this would be like a good chance to throw him a good chance to show how the game was and how it used to be and what was so fun about it, because I would always talk about it. I thought about getting the downloadable game for him, but that one was mediocre as well. So like Tony Hawk 5 is coming out, so I'll just use this one as a stepping stone. But to him, he was like, oh, I don't even think it's that bad. Like, no son, it is. And nobody thought that we'd get Tony Hawk 5 after Ride and Shred and how terrible they did, but we did. And now the likelihood of 6 coming out is very slim. Probably not at all. can't believe Activision would do this. And Tony Hawk, he's got to be crushed, man, because he's trying. He really wants this to be good. I know he does. The way he talked, it seemed like he really cares about the fans and his game. But if he did, he wouldn't let something like this come out. Like, come on. If there is a 6, if there's a 6, nobody's gonna have the excitement that they did for 5, because nobody thought there would be a 5. But you can only do that once. So we're like, okay, after that, it's pretty much dead. Like 5 is actually coming out. Okay, there's no way. Now if 6 does, we're just gonna be expecting something to be along the lines of 5. It's pretty much my belief of it. I feel so bad, and I hate that happened, because that would have been great. That's what we needed. We needed a new Tony Hawk game in this era, so that we could, go back and reminisce on the way things were, like, and how when we first played, like, Tony Hawk 2, and how awesome it was and how cool it was. Playing graffiti and getting tapes and all that, and playing as Spider-Man and Darth Vader, and the music that was just perfect for the settings and all that. Yeah, we wanted to get thrown back to that, but we didn't. We just got seriously disappointed. All right, guys, that is my list of my favorite and my most disappointing games of 2015. Like I said before, there are a lot of games that are not on the list, but I didn't play those games, so I can't really comment. So games that like Bloodborne, which not really my type, Evolve, Fallout 4. I know Fallout 4 came out and I know it was great. Again, not my style. Metal Gear Solid 5. I know these games are great. These are just my list of games that I played that were the favorite to me. I'm not dissing. I'm not trying to forget these on purpose. I know they exist. I'm not a dum-dum. Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm kind of thinking about getting into it. Maybe. Everybody talks about how good it is, but I won't be playing Fallout. That's for sure, though. Well, I might get into Metal Gear Solid 5, and if so, maybe I'll do a video talking about how, why the heck didn't I play Metal Gear Solid 5? So I'm not forgetting about those games. I know they exist. I know there was way more games that I didn't play, but these are games that I did play, so I'm able to give feedback and talk about why I like them or why I didn't like them. So just want to get that out there and let people know. I'm sure there's more disappointing games out there that weren't good, also that I didn't play. But if I didn't have the experience, then I can't really elaborate on why it's not good or why it was disappointing to me in the first place. So, I'm the Nearsighted Gamer. Once again, glad to be back. Do me a favor and subscribe if this is your first time watching and you like what you saw. For more stuff in the future, like this video, go ahead and like it. Like it if you like it. If you don't like it anyway, because I said so. Like my Facebook page as well, that'd be pretty cool. Facebook.com/The Nearsighted Gamer. Follow me on Twitter at The Nearsighted Gamer or Nearsighted Gamer, GAMR. Wasn't able to get the E in there, that sucks. And I guess that's pretty much it. So, as always, be excellent to each other. Later, peeps. Wait. Don't click yet. Don't stop watching. Just hold on just a second. I can't believe that I forgot to talk about my absolute most favorite game of 2015. Super Mario Maker. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna get started real quick. I know you, alright. Oh, just give me time. Alright. First off, it's a Mario game. And it has the typical Mario levels. You can play through and get the Mario greatness. But the thing about this is you can make your own levels. You can create any kind of Mario level that you can think of. You have all the tools at your disposal, all the enemies, the doors, the building blocks, anything. You can create, extremely hard levels if you're a jerk, Or you can create like really cool, easy levels, you know, just if there's just something in your mind that you said, man, you know what, it'd be cool if there was a level that did this, you know, if you had to jump from latitude to latitude or jump over pits. Anything, if like all Goombas, if you want that, if you want all fire wheels, anything you can come up with, you can create with this game. There's stages already on it. You don't have to just make stages in order to play. There are already pre-made stages you can play. There's a 100 Mario mode where you get 100 lives and you see if you can go through playing random levels that they pick from people who have made them all across the world, which is great. There's a 10 Mario level for those of you who aren't that good, but it's really good. The creativity that people have came up with is astounding so far, and it hadn't even been out a year. But by them putting out this game and giving creators and people the tools to make games, they've pretty much ensured that there'll be Mario content to play for years to come. But that's not to say that we don't want any other new Mario games. I mean, of course, it's Mario, but Mario Maker is going to be around for a while because there'll always be people making new, more creative stages for us to play, and there'll constantly be new things. Before you know it, you'll be able to make, I don't know, levels that they haven't even thought of. They may start asking people who have created levels, getting them to help them make levels for a new Mario game. This is just fueling future Mario content. This is making Mario better because it's in one way getting the fans to really add their content and feedback to the Mario worlds and levels. So they can get ideas from them and possibly get them to help do things in the future. I mean, someone could end up working for Nintendo as a game designer. Like, this opens the door to plenty of possibilities. It's crazy. I like this game so much that I even got the Mario 8-bit amiibo. Alright, this is the first and only amiibo that I currently own. This was the first one that I actually wanted, and I love it. Look at it. See how cool it is? Yeah. I may get, like, you know, the Shovel Knight or Mega Man amiibo in the future. That's the only other ones that I want, but for now, it's only Mario. He was the first one I wanted, and he's the only one I currently have. So I might let him have the spotlight for a while. That's, what else can I say? Mario Maker, it fits perfectly on the Wii U. It makes total sense with the tablet. It's easy to use. It's not complicated at all. It's easy to use. It's fun to play. There's plenty to do. They're constantly releasing DLC for it. I don't know if they have any more, but they've pretty much made it where you can make any kind of Mario game, any of the 2D Mario games that you've seen so far. 1, 3, World, and the new Super Mario Bros. One, the one on Wii U. It's great. It's absolutely great, and it is 100% my favorite game of 2015. Okay, now that I've said all that, you can go ahead and continue to like and subscribe and follow and all that. Nearsighted Gamer, blah, blah, blah. Just had to get that out of the way. Make sure I said that. All right, later, peeps.